Been a while, y'all. Took a little break to get some things together, spiritually and personally. But um, yeah, we've been enjoying Jeremiah 10. We talking about the sovereignty of God, right? So 10 and verse 7, we gonna be at today. I'm gonna start off with 6. I really just like to start from the top and work my way up to where we gonna end up beating at. So what I'll do is hear the word which the Lord speaks to you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, do not learn the way of the nations, and do not be awed by the signs of the heavens, for the nations are awed by them. That's what the nations do. For the laws of the customs of the people are vain, worthless. For one cuts a tree from the forest, work for the hands of a craftsman with a cutting tool, right? They beautify it with silver and gold. They strengthen it with nails and hammers so that it does not topple or fall. They're using these things to make it for it to be able to stand, make it upright. But David said, "Who?" David said, "Who's going to be able to stand before you?" Right? Those that have what? Clean hands, clean heart, and clean feet, clean hands, pure speech. Right? So it says in verse 5, they are like rounded posts and they do not speak. They have to be carried. It's like he says like a scarecrow, you know. Some verses say scarecrow. You got, they do not speak, they do not they have to be carried because they do not walk. Do not be afraid of them, for they do no evil, nor is it in them to do any good. There is none like you, O Lord. You are great, great is your name and might. Verse 7 says, who would not fear you, O sovereign, right, of the nations? For this is your due. For among all the wise men of the nations, and in all their reigns or kingdoms, there is none like you. We see that many a times, You had Nebuchadnezzar, and these men are kings, but they always had these little, what is it, magicians? These, I don't know what you would call them, but they will always have to have some sense of wisdom. Sometimes the king will go and get wisdom from uh these I'm gonna say magicians. Pharaoh had one, Nebuchadnezzar had him, but it's something about the wisdom of the Lord that does not come from man, right? It comes from above, right? And so even with all of that great power that those kings had, they did not have any wisdom, might, or strength because they did not know God, right? So it says, I like to read sometimes different versions of that. He says, who would not fear you, O King of nations? This is your due. For among all the wise men of the nations and all the kingdoms, their kingdoms, there is none like you, right? So 1 Corinthians 1 and 19, for it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and the intelligence of the intelligence, and I will frustrate. Now I'm going to read it from my scriptures. He said, I'm going to frustrate them, and that like confound them. That's what he did to those that were in Babylon when they tried to build the tower. He frustrated their work, their wisdom, their work, right? So in verse 19 it reads, for it has been written, I shall destroy the wisdom of the wise and set aside the learning of the learned ones, right? Where is the wise? I want to read this next verse. Where is the scholar? Where is the debater of this age? Has not Elohim made foolish the wisdom of this world? For since in the wisdom of Elohim or God, the world through wisdom did not know God. So this was that worldly wisdom. That's why they didn't have the proper discernment. They were calling bad good and good evil, right? Let's look at 1 Corinthians 8 and 6. I did a breakdown on this whole entire chapter, but it says, for us there is one God, the Father, from whom all came and for whom we live, and one Master, Yeshua, or Jesus Christ, through whom all came and through whom we live. But listen to the next verse. However, not all have this knowledge, but some being aware of the idol, Some being aware of the idol until now eat it as having been offered to an idol. So their conscience being weak is defiled. Revelations 15:4. Who will not fear you, O Lord, and glorify your name? For you alone are holy. All nations will come and worship before you. You are, for your righteous acts have been revealed. Right? Exodus 8 and 10. We read this one. These are some of being repeated. Exodus 8 and 10. Tomorrow Pharaoh answered, may it be as you say, Moses replied, so that you may know that there is no one like the Lord our God. Exodus 9 and 14. Otherwise, I will send all my plagues against you and your officials and your people, so you may know that there is none like me in all the earth. Joshua 4 and 24. He did this so that all the peoples of the earth may know that the hand of the Lord is mighty. The hand of the Lord is mighty. We know the hand of the Lord is also Christ. And so that you may always fear the Lord your God. He says, who would not fear you, O King of nations? For to you does it appertain. For as much as among all the wise men of the nations and in all their kingdoms, there is none like you. Jeremiah 5 and 22. Fear ye me not? That's what he's asking the question. Fear you, not me? He says, fear ye not me, saith the Lord. Will you not tremble at my presence, which have placed the sand for the bound of the sea by a perpetual decree that it cannot pass it? And though the waves thereof toss themselves, yet can they not prevail. Though they roar, yet can they not pass over it. He's showing you his power. He's showing you his sovereignty. He's creator of all things. He's saying this to us over. Why are we becoming idolaters? Luke 12 and 5. But I will forewarn you whom you shall fear. Fear him which after he hath killeth have the power to cast into hell. Yea, I say unto you, fear him. That's why he says the beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord. You don't have wisdom without the fear of the Lord. That's why I love, he says in this verse, excuse me, who shall fear you, O King of nations? For thine is the glory among all the wise men of the nations, among all the wise men of the nations or of the earth. And in all their kingdoms, there is none like unto you. None. There's none doing, he said, there's none doing good. There's none that has this understanding and wisdom. Only God. All wisdom, might, and counsel comes from the Lord. Now look at Job 37, verses 23 through 24. And it says, the Almighty, we have not found him out. He said, we haven't found him out. The Almighty, we have not found him out. He is exalted in power and in judgment, right ruling, and great in righteousness. He does not oppress. That's amazing to have a God that does not promote or execute oppression. Man oppressions. Look at the society in the world that we living in right now. It's full of oppression. It's not righteous. He said he does not oppress. Therefore men fear him. He does not regard any who are wise of heart. Right? Touching the Almighty or concerning the Almighty, we cannot find him out. He is excellent in power and in judgment and in plenty of justice. He will not afflict. I love it. He said, but therefore men what? Therefore people revere or fear him, for he does not have regard for all the wise in heart. Right? And he does not show regard to anyone who is basically is that self-conceit. That's why he says, be not wise in thine own eyes. Right? So where was I just at? Job 20. Okay, yeah, let me go back. Okay, now we're going to look at Psalms 22 and 28 says, "For the kingdom is the Lord's, and he is the governor among the nations." So it's pretty much saying who's in control, right? We have these talks about politics and what's going on in the political today. Right now, it's not good. But our concern as believers is we have to pray for those that are in leadership. But one thing we must do is understand that God is seated on the throne, no matter who's sitting in the Oval Office, no matter who's making sitting on the sitting at in the White House. God is on the throne. It says, "For the kingdom is the Lord's, and He is the governor among the nations." Psalm 72 and 11. "Yea, all kings shall fall down before him, and all nations shall serve him." That's New Jerusalem, y'all. It's gonna happen. All. He said all kingdoms gonna fall down. 80, Psalm 72 and 11. Psalms 86, I apologize, and 9. "All nations whom thou hast made shall come and worship before you, O Lord, and shall glorify your name." Psalm 76 and 7. "Eat though thou, even thou art to be feared, and who may stand in thy sight when once thou art angry?" Who gonna be able to stand in your presence? That's why he said they fasten them with hammers. Man is not even able to stand unless he's gonna stand in the image of the Son. Who shall be able to stand in his presence? Especially he said when you are angry. Jeremiah 10 and 6, "For as much as there is none like you, like unto you, O Lord, you are great, and your name is great and might." Psalms 89 and 6, For who in the heaven can be compared unto the Lord? Who among the sons of the mighty can be likened unto the Lord? 1 Corinthians 1 and 19 and 20, and I think I've already read that one. He says how he's going to confound the wise. What is wise to God, what is wise to man is foolishness to the Lord. So we stopping there. We stopping right there. The sovereignty of God. We're stopping right there. We're talking about where he's getting esteem. He's going to be glorified. There's nothing to be compared to him. He wants us to worship him, serve him, obey him. And he wants this and our inward parts to be cleansed and washed and fully dedicated and consecrated back unto him, so he can dwell and his wisdom can be poured into our hearts, our soul, his wisdom, his spirit, his might, as he did with the Son. All right, so be it. Y'all be blessed.